So I want to talk about why I'm actually grateful that I had a very difficult parent growing up. For years, I would resent my father. I wasn't going to even identify him, but there's no point in making this video without doing that. Now, I grew up with a pretty tough childhood. I slept on the floor in his one-bedroom cottage on the carpet in a sleeping bag for over a year and a half in high school. And I understood, he was raising me with what he thought was the best way to raise a kid. And it was tough. And he was very critical. He wasn't the warm, loving, nothing but praise, hide all criticism, we don't say no. Oh yeah, he said no. And for years, I resented that. But recently, I've come to appreciate the values he instilled in me. I would be a soft person if I was coddled and just told how special and wonderful I am, and every failure was just a learning experience. I wouldn't have had the drive to prove him wrong. And that has lasted through this day. And maybe some people would say that's a little man complex. It's an inferiority complex. It probably is. And it definitely has benefited me, because I don't ever expect everything, or really anything, to just be fine. I know that if it's going to work, I'm going to have to work to make it work. And I am naturally a pessimist. I naturally assume things will not be fine. So I prepare for things not to go well. It's why I'm a prepper. It's why I always have emergency supplies, because I would much rather assume things will not be right and be wrong than assume things will just be fine and be wrong. And it relates back to my father, because he made me earn his respect. It wasn't just freely given. And it drove me to try harder. And now, because he was such a difficult person growing up with, I learned how to deal with difficult people. I wouldn't have developed this skill. I wouldn't have the skill of being able to handle difficult, confrontational, stubborn people who aren't just there to praise me, but are there to push me, if I hadn't grown up with a father like that. So while I resented him for years, I'm grateful now, because I have clients that are just like him. And if I was like some of my friends who grew up with nothing but praise, never said no to the kid, told them how special they were routinely, they got a false sense of not just confidence and intelligence, but superiority. Oh, you are smarter than all the kids. No, you're not. You're not smarter than all the kids. You're probably at a disadvantage. You need to work twice as hard if you want to even have a chance. That's the mentality he instilled into me. That helped me get through college. It certainly helped me not fail out of law school, which I was about to. He didn't just come say, oh, I'm sure the teachers are just mean to you. No, he instilled a sense of accountability and responsibility that unfortunately seems to be lacking for a lot of young people these days. So I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I think I was worse off than a lot of people. I thought that I was. Now I realize when I thought I was worse off, I was actually better off in the long run. It's like fast food. You can get the instant gratification, feel good for a moment, and then the long-term regret. It was the other way around for me, and I think that is, in my opinion, a great way to raise kids. You have to push them. You have to make them tough and resilient, and not just expect that things will be brought to them, and when they make a mistake, they can find fault in their teacher, in their boss, in their colleague. No, it's their fault. They screwed it up. They can accept accountability and they can make it right. And that is my guiding principle. I now try to accept blame for things that I know I didn't ultimately or even in part cause. Because what's the harm in apologizing? What's the harm in taking accountability? What's the harm in saying, that was my fault, but I will make it right? Even if it wasn't your fault, what benefits you more? That approach, or saying, well, that's not my problem, don't look at me? Who wants to hire or retain an employee like that? Who wants to keep a friend like that? It's a simple calculation, and it's something that I've unfortunately only discovered recently, when I did wake up and realize the resentment I had towards my father should have actually been praised. And no, he didn't tell me to rank this video, and he and I have had a very contentious relationship for the majority of my life, but that will change because I do have a different outlook on things. So if you are going through some tough times with your parents, or if you're a parent that has been tough on your kid and wondering if you made a mistake, take it from me. Pushing your kid, even if they resent you now, will make them more resilient and probably more appreciative in the long run than if they discover that they were naked when the tide went back out. It's better to be over-prepared and assume the worst than not prepared at all because you assume things will be fine and you discover the hard way that oftentimes they're not. So I don't know if this helps. I don't know if this is ridiculous, but this is information that I wish I would have heard 10 years ago, so that's why I'm putting it out now. If you find it helpful, I'd love to hear it. Thank you.